Every piece of advice out there about running Amazon ads on KDP was written by somebody selling novels. The YouTube videos, the blog posts, ranking on Google, the courses, all of it built around fiction books. And that's a real problem because the economics of advertising a $9.99 coloring book look absolutely nothing like the economics of advertising a $5.99 ebook that's book one of a 10-book series. And most of the time, these ebooks aren't even purchased. They're loaned through Kindle Unlimited. If you've been following fiction author advice and wondering why your ad account keeps bleeding money on a journal or an activity book, that is exactly why. This is how Amazon ads actually works for low and medium content books, the real math behind it, and where self-publishers are losing their royalties without even realizing it. Now, if you are new here, I'm Caroline and I'm a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon for 8 years. And on this channel, I show you how to do the same. Here's why fiction and low content books cannot follow the same playbook. An author publishing on Kindle earns a 70% royalty on an ebook, and that book is usually one of a series. If book one loses $1 on advertising, but it pulls a reader into buying books 2 through to 5, the author is still ahead. They're not losing money. And Kindle Unlimited adds another layer on top of that because page reads keep paying out long after the ad spend is gone. None of that exists for you. A coloring book, a planner, a journal, or an activity book is most of the time a single purchase. There is no book 2 pulling the buyer back in a week later, and there's no page read revenue trickling in afterward. Your royalty on a paperback usually sits somewhere between $2 and $4 once the printing costs have come out, and that is the entire budget that you have to work with. Whatever an ad costs you to generate that one sale needs to come out of that $2 to $4, full stop. That is the whole reason that most of the advice floating around out there doesn't work for you. It was never built for your margins, and treating your ad account the same way that an author treats theirs is the fastest way to turn a profitable book into one that is actually costing you money every month. I see this happen constantly. Self-publishers move over from watching fiction ad tutorials, copy the exact same bidding habits, and then watch their ad spend double while their sales stay completely flat. It's not the actual advice that was wrong, but it was advice that was built to solve a different problem than the one they actually had. Before we do get into bidding and budgets, I need to say something that sounds like it actually has nothing to do with ads, but it is actually the biggest leverage that you have. Your ad account isn't the reason that your ads are expensive. It's your niche. A broad niche means broad, expensive keywords, and it means that you are bidding against publishers with much bigger ad budgets than you. A specific niche means specific cheap keywords and buyers who already know exactly what they want the second that they land on your listing. Someone searching for puzzle book is just browsing, but somebody searching for large print word search book for seniors has already decided exactly what they need, and your ad shows up at the exact moment that they're ready to buy. That is the difference between a 25-cent click that turns into a sale and a $1 click that goes nowhere, and no amount of clever bidding fixes a niche that was too broad to begin with. If you don't already have a list of niches that you like ready to go, I've put together a free report of 100 profitable KDP niches, each one checked for demand and competition, and it is completely free. The link is down in the description box below. Go grab that before you even touch your ads account, because everything that I'm about to talk about in this video works so much better when you're pointing it at a niche that's actually proven instead of just guessing. Now, let's talk about the most important number, which is your bid ceiling. So Amazon hands you a suggested bid the moment that you set up a campaign, and for most low and medium content books, that suggested bid is way too high. It's calculated off the whole marketplace, which includes fiction and non-fiction books with completely different margins. So it skews high for you every single time. Here's how to work out your own number instead. Take your royalty on that book. Let's say you're selling a $9.99 journal and you're clearing $3.20 royalty after printing. Multiply that by your conversion rate, which means the percentage of clicks that actually turn into a sale. A well-optimized low-content listing typically converts somewhere around 10%. $3.20 multiplied by 10% gives you 32 cents. That is your absolute ceiling, the most that you're willing to pay for that click. The point where you are breaking exactly even and making no profit at all. If you're bidding anywhere near that number, you're not running a profitable campaign. You're running one that keeps you at zero on a good day. Your real target should sit well beneath that ceiling, closer to 20 to 25 cents, so that there is an actual margin left once the ad has done its job. The other number worth knowing is your ACoS, which stands for advertising cost of sale. It is simply your ad spend divided by the revenue that the ad generated and shown as a percentage. So using the same journal, if you spent 96 cents in ad clicks to generate that one $9.99 sale, your ACoS on that sale sits at around 10%. Fiction self-publishers usually tolerate an ACoS up to 40 or even 50%, sometimes even more, because that back-end series revenue covers the gap of getting that buyer. You don't have that luxury. A healthy ACoS target for low and medium content books needs to stay under 25%. And honestly, the tighter that you can keep it toward 10, 15%, the more room that you're going to have to scale that campaign later on without your margins disappearing. Anything running consistently higher than that isn't a campaign that you're able to optimize. It's one that you should be pausing and basically rebooting from scratch. Before you spend a single cent, your listing needs to be ready to actually convert that click into a sale, because an ad only amplifies what is already there. If your cover looks homemade next to the top 10 results in your niche, the ad is just paying to show people something that they're just going to scroll by. If your pricing is off compared to what is already selling in that niche, then the ad is paying to show people something that they'll compare and then reject. And if you've got 0 reviews, you're asking a stranger to trust an unknown seller over books with hundreds of reviews sitting right next to them in the search results. None of that means that you have to wait months and months before advertising. What it just means is just spend an afternoon checking your cover against the top 5 or the top 10 competitors in your niche, checking that your price sits inside the range that buyers are already used to paying, and if you can, getting even 3 or 4 honest reviews before you turn your ads on will make such a big difference. One more thing worth checking before you do turn any ads on: make sure your back-end keywords when you are in your book's listing are actually filled in properly and relevant to how buyers search. Amazon's algorithm uses those keyword fields along with your title and subtitle and description to decide which searches your book is even eligible to show up for, ad or no ad. A gorgeous cover and a perfect price point will not save you if your back-end keywords are empty or just filled with terms that have absolutely nothing to do with what someone would actually type in. It literally only takes 10 minutes, and it is the kind of thing that gets skipped constantly by self-publishers because it does feel like a small, insignificant detail, but it actually affects directly how much reach your ad budget can even buy you. Now, once your listing is ready and you're ready to start running ads, start with an automatic campaign, not manual. I know that manual feels like the more advanced, the more controlled option, but auto campaigns is actually how you get Amazon to hand you real data about which search terms are actually converting before you spend a fortune finding out yourself. Set your daily budget low, somewhere between $3 and $5 per day, and let it run for 2, maybe 3 weeks, totally untouched. Resist the urge to check it every single day and start adjusting bids, because 2 or 3 days of data tells you almost nothing in low and medium content books. One thing also worth mentioning here: never run a single campaign covering different types of books with different price points and different margins. A campaign mixing a $6.99 activity book with a $14.99 planner is going to optimize toward whichever one converts the easiest. And that is rarely the one that is making you the most money. Keep campaigns separated by book and by niche so that the data that you get back actually means something. And once you have 2 or 3 weeks behind you, pull a search term report and look for terms that have real clicks and at least 1 or 2 sales attached. Don't just look at terms with high impressions, because impressions alone tells you nothing about buyer intent. Take those specific terms that have gotten you real clicks and a few sales and move them into a manual campaign with exact match and set your bid using that ceiling math that we worked through earlier in the video. And that manual campaign is going to become your workhorse. And the auto campaign keeps running along in the background at a small budget, continuously feeding you data and new keywords that you haven't thought about yet. Now, the tactic that does get ignored constantly is product targeting, and it is usually the cheapest and most effective one available to you. Instead of bidding on keywords and search terms, you're placing your ad directly on the product page of another book. The trick is picking the right books to target. Skip the #1 best-selling book totally in your niche because that spot is going to be too expensive and everybody is already fighting over it. Skip any of the books that are buried down on page 5 of the search results as well, because nobody's finding those books either way. Look for books that are selling well, but they sit just outside the very top results. They're similar to yours, but not identical. If you publish, let's say, a gratitude journal for nurses, target the product pages of general gratitude journals and then other nurse-themed gift books, not the exact same journal as yours. Because so few low and medium content publishers actually use product targeting, the cost per click here often runs a lot less than what you would pay chasing the same keyword that everybody else is bidding on, and you're showing up at the exact moment that someone is deciding between two similar books. Every week or two, go back into your search term report and look for anything that has generated any more clicks without a single sale. If a search term has racked up something like 15 or 20 clicks and 0 conversions, meaning 0 sales, Amazon is telling you that that search term doesn't belong in your campaign. Add it as a negative keyword so you can stop paying for it. Watch for irrelevant search terms creeping into things like, I don't know, let's say a completely different animal or a completely different theme that your book is actually covering, because auto campaigns will sometimes match you to search terms that are only loosely related. This one habit alone can be the difference between an account that just slowly bleeds money and one that gets more and more efficient every month, because you're constantly trimming away the terms that were never going to convert and letting your budget concentrate on the ones that actually do convert. Most self-publishers only ever think about ads one book at a time, and that is actually a mistake, and it's also the biggest shift in how you should be thinking about ads. A single book on its own usually doesn't really make advertising worth it on its own. What actually moves the needle is having several related books in the same niche running at the same time. So when you've got 2 or 3 books in the same space showing up as sponsored spots together, you're not just making one sale, you're controlling more of that first page, and every sale drives your organic ranking up and your ad cost down. If someone clicks on your first book and decides it's not quite what they wanted, there is a chance that they might buy your second book instead of a competitor's because it's sitting right there in the same search results. And this is why you see self-publishers with a series of 10 or 20 related books in the same niche almost always outperform someone running ads on just one single book, even when their individual books aren't objectively better. Advertising rewards depth in a niche, not just one good book. And it's a big part of why the publishers who scale past a few $100s a month in ad spend are the ones publishing consistently in the same handful of niches instead of just jumping around. None of this needs a huge budget to start. It needs the right niche, honest math about what you can actually afford to bid, and the patience to let the data build before you start optimizing. Get your listing ready, start auto campaigns, track what converts, then move into manual and product targeting once you know what works. Keep your ACOS in check and build towards a series instead of pinning everything on one book. That is how you stop guessing with your ad budget and start treating it like the business expense that it actually is. If you haven't grabbed that free niche report yet, it's linked below. As I said, it's totally free and it's the easiest place to start before you spend a single dollar on ads. Now, if you did like this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too, so please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own low and medium content books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.